maybe it's like an addiction like gambling. Let's just roll the dice and see where things land. Again, it comes back to like, if you're really nurturing your community, this is not to guarantee you're going to be a platinum selling artist, but I don't think you can fail if you nurture your community. If you have the mindset of like some kind of egotistical thing, like it's all about me, good luck. But the ones that really find their place and are really making changes and doing cool stuff and build that and nurture it and support others along the way, I think that's a big game changer.
Welcome to the Calgary Sessions. This is episode number 164. I'm your host, Jeff Humphreys. Before I get into it, I'm trying to get more exposure around the show. My only ask is to either subscribe to this damn thing or put some stars against it. Our mutual friend, Tim Truex, put on this little event called Pod Summit. And so one of the workshops was with this wonderful person. And, fast forward, 9 months, here we are.
Yeah.
Face to face. So please name and who you are.
My name is Emma Harding, and I'm a voice coach and artist development coach. Which
was cool at Pod Summit as a voice coach, because when you're,
there's
a bunch of podcasters in the room trying to figure out audio and kind of Tim put together a different conference with a different vibe. So it was really cool to see and hear your perspective, how it fits in the podcast world. So, and then, I found it interesting. So fast forward here.
Yes.
This will be a cool conversation.
It's very full circle.
Yeah. It's just cool how it all kind of works. And when it works, it's fun. And people always ask me, like, where do you find your guests? Mm-hmm. How do I get on the show?
Right.
And it's just these very serendipitous moments.
Totally.
That lead to these cool conversations.
Totally. And I knew your name long before, thanks to Jax and Rob. Turkey and Pistols.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Right.
So great friends, Jax from way back in the radio days.
No way.
So, yeah.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah.
She can sing.
Yes, she can.
And he's getting dangerous right now.
I love what they're doing out there. It's so great.
Well, let's talk about Rob and Jax.
Let's do it. Let's chat about other people.
Yeah, fuck this. Music is a big part of your life. Yeah. And obviously with Rob and Jax, it's a big part. But like what they're doing out there is very interesting, hey?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, community is everything when it comes to music.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're encouraging community from every level of musician, they're so welcoming.
Yeah.
And I think that's because that's where they started out.
Yeah.
I remember with Jax, she was so sweet. When I launched my business, I was always like, well, you just join this group class. You like come for free. Just come and fill the space and make it look like I know what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. And she was at all the things in the beginning and doing all the lessons and basically was my test subject from the get-go. But then she started picking up the ukulele and doing all of that. So I think it's so great that now they're the ones in the position that are like, if you're a bit nervous or if you want to come try it out, like just come jam with us and come do these things. So I love it. And then Rob's vision with Turkey and Pistols is just, yep.
And so the connection, the full connection to Rob? So Rob was guest number 1.
Stop.
On this show.
Okay, that is full circle.
And then Rob, and that's why I wanted you to go down this path. And he also did my logo for the show. So that
makes sense.
He hand drew every curl on that logo.
He's brilliant.
Yeah.
He really is.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Anyways.
Amazing people.
That's it.
Yeah.
But again, though, right? Like that's that. For whatever reason, this weird show allows for these collisions to happen. It's just, it's so fun.
It's all meant to be.
Exactly. You've seen a couple of these.
Yes, I have.
So walk this thing back. Where you grew up, how you grew up, parents, siblings, job, music, and to where you are today, and we'll have a chat.
Where I grew up. So I grew up, you may know, the Ascot Racecourse. I was born in Heatherwood Hospital right next to the Ascot Racecourse. Small town outside of London. My dad was a musician, and it's really wild, actually. The house that we grew up in was really massive, like Georgian mansion, haunted as all heck, like creepy. And it was a recording studio. So I grew up, my first word was Mick Mick. which was music for those who don't speak Emma. So my first word was Mick Mick. I literally learned to walk holding on to the board, like climbing along the desk. And yeah, that was my first introduction to music. That was where I grew up. My dad's only child, but also one of, I want to say 7. So half siblings,
Yep, all over.
step siblings,
Yep.
but also an only child, which was unique.
Yep. Was music just like all your early memories? Like, was it just
Yeah,
like people coming through the house to record, music playing, all the things?
all the time.
Did he sing, play?
He played Hammond B3. He was
Okay.
in, I don't know whether you know the Spencer Davis groups, one of those bands, if you know kind of thing. But
Yep.
he played with like a lot of the people around were Deep Purple, The Who, those kind of guys.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, so he operated at
Yeah, the benchmark was high. Thanks, Dad.
yeah.
But yeah, so I sort of grew up getting to experience backstage with artists like that, and yeah, Albert Hall, places like that.
Yeah.
It's kind of wild.
So the early days, like, from whatever, 0 to 10, what life look like?
It was okay. How deep do we want to go?
Well, hey, listen. I don't care. It's wherever you want to go.
It was interesting. It's a funny story, actually. So the house was massive. Parents divorced or split up, whatever. And instead of being mature adults, they built a brick wall down the middle of the
No
house.
way. Amazing. This is a movie, by the way.
Right?
Yeah.
I've had therapists who are like, that's so smart that you've compartmentalized a brick wall. And I'm like, no. It was a wall made of bricks. And they're like, yes, so describe that to me. I'm like, no, a wall made of bricks down the middle of the house. And every other weekend I went through it. So yeah, it was wild. But yeah, growing up was music everywhere. Music and chaos on one side of the house and attempted structure on the other. So sort of growing up, it was really unique. It was like even my school was like, don't expect Emma to do any homework this weekend because she's with Dad. And then it'll be like makeup sessions over there. So yeah, it was kind of wild, but fun.
And when you were a youngster, did you know what you were living in, or did you just have?
No.
Yeah.
I didn't figure that out till, well, actually, I would say I didn't. It took a long time because actually the school I went to afterwards, and this is, I don't want to sound all like name droppy and stuff, but it was a lot of kids who were spawn of musicians, like the Stones, the Who, all of that kind of stuff. So their life was the same too.
Yeah.
So the benchmark was bizarre. So yeah, it took me a little while to figure out it was moving to Calgary where everyone's like, we didn't all go to school with rock stars. And like, how tiny is England that you were all in that one school like Hogwarts or something? So yeah.
Is that school, was it known for that kind of thing? And is it still?
It was, I believe. It was kind of like, it was where like kids would go to sort of get the grades that they could. It was, but now it's a very posh school. Before it was just kind of like, it was a posh school, but not now it's like you can walk down the left side of the hallway and you're suspended for untied shoelaces and ridiculously expensive. But before it was a bit like, that's the place to send your kids.
It's amazing. There's a few of those in Calgary too.
Right.
So your early days, like being introduced to music, do you remember, like, do you have vivid memories of early days music, or do you just have like feelings and like random flashbacks?
I remember, and I have my oldest sister, Abby, to blame for this, the Rocky Horror Picture Show was one of the first albums that I learned the lyrics to as like a toddler in the backseat of the car singing these songs. And my mom was like, what is going on back there? Like, I'm singing all of these, like, touch me. It's like, this is not right. But that was probably one of the first soundtracks that I learned by heart at around 3.
Yep.
But other than that, it was my dad's music, of course, that really, really resonated with me. So,
and when you say that, like, what were your early experiences? Like sitting in the studio, or just like him live? Like, what are the early memories?
yes, a lot of sitting in the studio. A lot of like, they had these big like Chesterfield couches, and I would sit there and just listen to everything. Or hearing him live was probably a little bit further down the road when I was kind of allowed to tag along to stuff.
Yeah.
But definitely that. And then also like listening to his music because I couldn't be with him. Like when the divorce and everything happened, it was like, I remember listening to it like religiously.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Was there anything else that had your interest as a youngster, or was it like, as you're going to this school, I'm like, it does sound like a movie. It sounds ridiculous. But you're going to school, you know, like music, or was there anything else that had your attention?
I wanted to be a vet, and then I had my first blood test, passed out, and then I was like, science is not my thing. Also, then I realized science was not my thing because that's not where my brain works either. So, but always music was a thing. I was always like, people always say, and I hate it. And I was like, I've been writing songs since I was 6. It's like, no, you haven't. You've been playing around and being a kid, making up things.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like making up songs in my head and singing things about everything as a kid. Like, my mom's mad at me and I hate my brother today. All of those things.
Yeah.
But yeah, music was always the way that I would express myself and find kind of like comfort and relief and all of that kind of stuff. So music was always there. So
For whatever you were feeling, whatever experience you were having, it was just, you could always.
absolutely. Like to the point where I started taking piano lessons. And my piano teacher fired me because she's like, I can't teach her. Like, she's done grade 1, 2, 3, whatever, Royal School of Music. But I was like, stop making me why do I need to learn this? This is not how I want to express myself, especially having been like, I've seen John Lord play the Hammond organ. I don't need to be learning how to play Frere Jacques. Like, that is not where I want to go. So I was like, I want to learn that. But at the time, that really wasn't a thing. It was like you had to learn the Royal College or like all of these conservatory pathways was the way to go. And so anyways, my piano teacher fired me. And my mum was like, you know what, I'm just going to encourage her to keep writing and keep creating. And luckily, the school that I was at, it was the Froebel Institute, which is based on learning through play, which is also what I've just figured out recently, like literally diagnosed this week with like raging ADHD. And so my therapist or my psychiatrist is like, how was your childhood? How were you in school? Thinking like, if I had a normal school, I'd have probably been the kid pinging off the walls and jumping off the desk and all of that kind of stuff. Whereas I had a school where it's like, we're going to learn about amoebas. Who wants to be the nucleus? And we'll all dance around you and form the different, like that was how we learned. So that's kind of how I got through school, I think, because it was such a weird out there school. See, I'm going completely on a tangent here.
Good. That's what this show's all about. You go.
I'm like, wait, now I'm thinking about his amoebas. Literally, that was the one and only thing I remembered, hence never getting anywhere near becoming a vet. But yeah, no, the music was always the thing.
Yeah.
Always.
And if the piano wasn't the instrument, were there other instruments at the time, or was it like singing more or writing more? What was your...
It was, I love the piano. My mum bought me a guitar, which I was like, okay, this is obviously the next step for writing and everything. And everyone who was cool was playing guitar, like, because all I could learn was the classical stuff. I never thought like rock and roll for the piano. And then my mum bought me a guitar, but because I'm left-handed, she bought me a left-handed guitar, not thinking or observing the fact that I do everything right-handed. So for me, this was the most complex instrument of life because it was backwards and upside down, and it was confusing for my teacher as well because he was not used to teaching left-handed. So that lasted about a year, and it was just huge frustration, and I was really disappointed. I thought, I just can't do it. And then like 3 years later, I picked up someone else's guitar and was like, let's try it. And I was like, what? This has been hiding from me? Or like, I'm not that ridiculously stupid. So yeah, I mean, by no means am I a guitar player, but I can rock a few chords, and now I'm playing it left-handed. This is really weird. Like, how bizarre that I would be demonstrating it. Anyway. Yeah, so definitely piano is the main instrument. Love it. But yeah, tried guitar, can jam a few chords on it, but voice was...
That's it?
Yeah.
And so when did you figure that out?
It was probably in school. I was in a lot of like the productions and all of that kind of stuff. And I would also put together I was that brat that did come on everyone, we're holding a special assembly. You have to come and
awesome.
listen to us all perform. And
Yeah.
we've done a dance routine. And yeah, I was that kid. It's like, no, we're not going to do what the school play, but we're going to go write our own thing and create our own stuff. So that's where it all started.
Obviously, as you're telling the story, I'm like framing it up in my head, like visualizing this.
Yeah.
Were you in the studio a lot, like watching and digesting this stuff and just like,
Oh, yeah.
and
Yeah.
quietly observing?
Yeah.
And just,
Yeah.
so it's like subtle, right? It's like did anybody sit you down and like coach you of like, this is the industry, this is what's possible? Is there any of that? Or are you just like around it and feeling it?
I was around it and feeling it until I went to London Music School when I was 20.
So like after high school?
Yeah. Yeah. Not to be confused with the London School of Music. So this was the rock and roll version of, but the being in the studio is something that I just took for granted until I started working with young artists, and I take them into the studio, and there's moments I'm like, shit, I should have gone through so many of these things that I just know. And so I really have that respect for young emerging artists, because there is so much that you don't know walking into that environment of just not even just etiquette, but just what to expect and what to not be afraid of, but what to really plan ahead for, and how to communicate things in a certain way.
Yeah.
And just, those things were just day to day growing up that I would see. So,
and when you're experiencing them at a young age, you don't have to be taught them.
yeah.
Maybe some people do, but if you're there enough, you figure them out, and then you know how to operate in these rooms.
Yeah. Yeah. It was just, I remember one time just being there for, one album that my dad was recording, and we were at this really lovely studio. It wasn't at the home. And he was just, people were coming in as the guest artists, and he would be playing them the demo track. They'd just be giving it a shot, like just, okay, I'll give it a shot. I'll try. I'll see. Having heard this like one time, this is not like they've had months to prep or things like, this is the track I want you to sing. Here it is. Have a listen. Give it a shot. And I just being like, that's a musician. Like, boom, knock it out the park. And it was just so great just to be in that space. Be like, give me more. I want to see more of this. And guitarist just getting, okay, let me throw the solo down. Like, wild.
So you have a interesting perspective and gauge on what like what a true talent is potentially, right?
Yeah.
Just because you've seen it and felt it up close for all these years?
I think so. There is, yeah, okay, if I'm honest, if I think about it. I've never really actually thought about that. I always see people as having potential.
Yep.
But there are people that you see and you're like, you don't know what you're capable of. You have no clue what you've got. And there are some people I'm just like, yeah, just wait till you figure it out. Wait till you get the confidence. And there are some people that have that confidence, and I'm like, oh, if only you could steal a little bit of their confidence and take what you've got and run with it.
In your position, are you able to get in and out of those conversations? Like, can you actually?
Yeah, I have. It's really interesting the way that the evolution of what I do. I started off thinking, okay, I'll help people learn to sing, teach people singing. And then it turns out that what I've discovered over the past, it's been like 20 years that I've been coaching. There was a whole stint where I was in radio, but in either side, it adds up to like 20 years.
Yep.
And you get to the point where you can hear stuff in people's voices just when you're speaking to them, and it's like, okay, this one's going to be a crier, or this one's got like, so it got to the point where now I can work with someone, and it will be the first session, and I always have tissues handy, because I'm like, the minute they release whatever is going on in there, it's going to be a shit show. And there'll be people crying and be like, I'm having a really good time. I don't know what's happening. And I'm like, you've been blocking this for however many years you've been alive. Like, and now you've just released it and you've let your genuine voice out. So yes, I guess to your point is I do get very connected with my clients in a very different way, as opposed to like some teachers might be like, hey, I'll teach you how to sing a song.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm like, let's dig into that instrument. Let's teach you what your instrument can do and what your voice is all about. And that's what I think makes a brilliant artist.
Yeah, it's way different.
Yeah.
Coming out of high school, did you know what your path was, or was it just predetermined based on all your life experiences? What were you thinking?
I desperately wanted to be Alanis Morissette.
So living over there,
Yes.
Canadian. She was your...
First concert I ever went to, Shepherd's Bush Empire, 16 years of age.
No way.
And
Where?
I was Shepherd's Bush Empire.
Okay, where's...
Same place where the Dixie Chicks dropped that.
I don't know. It's funny. So I'm 48. So when what was her first big album?
Jagged Little Pill.
So it was, obviously all those songs are classic now. And
way to age us.
What... Now that I've seen her perform recently on some of these shows, she's kind of popped up again.
Yeah.
She's insane. And it's almost like back then, maybe I wasn't like into that music
Okay.
style, so you can't really like truly appreciate it in the moment. It's like watching Gretzky back in the 80s. You're like, you hated him, but as you get older, you're like, wow, he was amazing. Same thing with her.
Yeah.
What was it about her that like...
She was coming out of the... Well, no, I don't know. Like when I'm trying to think about the timeline, because it was very... She was just like unapologetic. She was real, or seemed real. I don't know. It could have been brilliant marketing. She was just angsty and saying all the things that as a young woman, that's what you're all thinking. But no one... Well, obviously, I mean, when you look back on all the greats, they probably were already saying it, but she was the first one at my age that I connected with that was like my generation's, like Joni Mitchell or what have you, right? She was saying what I was feeling at that time. And I just the hair and all the performance and just the way she came across when the alternative was like the Spice Girls and all this like perfectly produced stuff. So it was just, it was my jam.
And so that was like... That's what you were going to do?
It's what I wanted to do, and I tried. And then, speaking of Spice Girls, I think I've told this story so many times, so it's quite ridiculous.
I've never fucking heard it.
There's so many random people that are like, Spice Girls. I'm like, oh, shit. So I was at like a week-long like summer camp at a recording studio, and it was fun. It was awesome. We wrote, I think, actually my brother gave me the cassette tape when I saw my brother in England recently, and it had that demo on it, which I have to listen to. I'd be like, I think I was like 16, 17 when I created that. So I was at that studio, we had that session. Then I get a call from the studio after the summer camp was all done and everything. And it was a lady named Renata, and I forget the guy's name, but they were like, come in, we want to work with your voice and see what you're up to and chat about your music. Awesome. Okay, so I went and chat. I'm like, we're putting this girl group together and we really need like a strong singer. But like, we don't know where it's going to go. Like, you're going to have to quit school, do all these things. And I was like, I'm not going to quit school, whatever. And like 2 years later, there I was watching the documentary with the Spice Girls, and they were like, we were at the studio in Wokingham, and Renata and this guy was doing all the interviews. And I was like, you win some, you lose some.
Fuck. So why was it in your head not to quit school?
Because and I hate this, I wanted a plan B if music didn't work out.
Wow.
Yeah.
And do you think that was like put in your head subconsciously, or was that like, was there like people in your world that had made mistakes that were telling you that?
My dad
really?
Was very much like, do not get into this industry. It is awful. The people are awful. The pay is, everything is just unreliable and chaotic and hectic and unhealthy and all of that, which I agree. But once you got it, once it's in there.
Yeah, you can't shake it.
Yeah. And he was the one actually when I was in music school, he finally realized, he's like, because he had never even sat me down. Like there would be times I'd be like, Dad, can you teach me to play this on piano? He'd be like, yeah, he'd sit down, play it and walk off and be like, that's how you play it. I'm like, fuck you. But then it finally was like, okay, you really do want to do this?
Yeah.
And so I ended up recording an album at his studio and he helped me with all of that, which was a really cool experience.
It was later though, right? You were kind of, maybe had more experiences, more mature to actually make the decision?
Yeah, absolutely. That was towards the end of music school and it was like, I'd proven
this is
the path. Yeah.
So you went from high school to music school?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you were like, it was the path?
Yeah.
You didn't deviate at all?
No.
So when you go to music school, what do you go there to figure out? Like what in the hopes of you finish and then do what?
it's funny, the last day, literally, they sat us down and they were like, the odds of any of you actually becoming musicians now is very slim. And we're like, well, thanks for the talk. Could have brought this up 2 years ago. But actually, a lot of the people in my year are currently very successful musicians touring. Right. So many of them are actually living it and doing it, which is quite rare. But I went into it thinking, well, if I'm not going on tour, I'm going to work with other musicians and learn more about music and everything. And it was so cool. Again, it was a bit bonkers. Like my original school, it was all about like, it wasn't like you're going to learn theory, you're going to learn the how and the why of everything. It was like, okay, this week is Latin. You're like, we literally, the first day we're put into a band. That was our band for the 2 years or whatever. And it's like, this week is Latin week. You're going to learn this Latin song. This week is pop week. You're going to learn rock. You're going to do all these things. And as a band, you're learning all of these songs. Yep. And then as a band, the project is like, okay, off you go. You got to go get gigs, book gigs, promote your gigs. Like learning to actually be a musician as opposed to like, this is what music is. So it was really cool.
The people that you connect with, you said a lot of them are still doing their thing.
Yeah.
Still tight? Like a tight group?
Very much so. Yeah.
Before you said that, like, you know, a lot of musicians, you know, it doesn't work or, you know, however you phrased it. And they tell you at the end of it, like, good luck getting in this industry.
Yeah.
I think most know that.
Yep.
When they get into it or when they're starting to, like, figure it out.
Yeah.
Is it just this, like, undeniable energy that keeps you in it? Like, what, knowing the likelihood of this thing working, whatever working means. Yeah. It's like being a pro athlete.
Totally.
Or whatever it is. It's like a small percentage. There's just no other option. It's just in you and you got to go.
I think so. I think for me, and it's different for me too. A lot of people are always asking, like, how come you're not a singer? Like, how come you're coaching? And for me, when I compare the sensation I get when I'm standing backstage and I see a client just nail it versus me being on stage nailing it, different feeling. I am like way more like, fuck yeah, when my clients are just like doing it. Yeah. And I don't know whether that's just a subconscious cop out that I'm not up there doing it. But honestly, like when I do get up now and I do some stuff here and there, it doesn't excite me like like you'd think. But yeah, it's an industry and it's a world that, well, you DJ'd. Like, you know what it's like.
Yeah, but like DJ in town for X amount of years is different than what, you know, it's creative.
Yeah.
It's creative. It's music based. And there's still the limited, you know, you get to hear, you know, to a certain level. And then, which is, you know, it stops at Calgary, let's say.
Right.
And then there's North America and there's ways to go. But the likelihood of that happening is just like cough, like it's like crushing, for a long time, But how many examples of that are there in Calgary? Right, it's such a small number.
Totally.
And then it's like timing, skill, connections, So there's all these like variables to it too.
It really, really is. Maybe it's like an addiction, like gambling. It's like, let's just roll the dice and see where things land. Like it's, but it does, again, it comes back to like Robin Jackson community. It's like, if you're really nurturing your community, I don't think you can, this is not to guarantee you're going to be a platinum selling artist, but I don't think you can fail if you nurture your community. If you have the mindset of like some kind of egotistical thing, or you're doing it for a certain reason, and you're doing it like it's all about me, good luck. But the ones that really find their place and are really making changes and doing cool stuff, I think if you do have the community and build that and nurture it and support others along the way, I think that's a big game changer. Yeah.
When you finished music school, what are you up to?
What did I do after music school?
That was a few years ago.
Okay, so all right, here we go. So I was engaged to a guitarist from music school.
Classic.
Lovely guy, very successful musician now. He actually recorded and co-wrote like the first album with me. Then I needed a little break. And so I was like, I'm going to go see my friend in Calgary, who I actually met at the Liverpool Institute of Performing Arts at another summer school. And she'd come from Calgary to do production. And so she was the person in charge of doing the audio for our little band in the summer school.
Before you keep going, and this is me being ignorant.
Yes.
These schools that you're going to, and you just rattled off this Liverpool thing, are these very like well-to-do schools? Are these like...
Paul McCartney owns it.
Okay.
So
they're like, this isn't like play around.
No,
these aren't like random schools in England. These are very like high level.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just to set the table here of what this is.
That's very... No, when Paul McCartney's the headmaster, it's pretty legit.
You were there, yeah.
But I didn't get into it full-time as a student, but I did get accepted for summer school, which is where I met Suzanne, who I came to visit in Calgary.
What year was this?
I would have been 18, 19. Yeah, so this was actually right, it was just after music school, 1920.
Yep.
No.
Correction.
So we had summer school, met Suzanne, went to music school. After music school, broke up, needed a vacation, came back to Calgary. Well, came to Calgary for the first time, actually, come visit. And then another relationship happened with a Calgarian.
Fucking dudes, hey? Sorry to make you go back and like...
It's all good. Still friends with most of them. But Suzanne now lives in Ireland. And then I shifted over to Canada when I was 24. Yeah.
You're in a band, you're getting... Like just doing the music thing?
Yeah.
Like just gigging, writing,
so it would be,
singing, like you at the front of the band? Like
Yeah. So gigs at night, wake up around noon, do some teaching,
back
pack
then
up
you
the
were
truck and then gigging again. Yeah, started teaching right out of music school. So gigging and teaching and recording and playing all around.
Was the teaching thing a go-to for musicians?
Yeah.
Like did a lot of them, it was the classic actor, bartender, like that, like maybe I'm oversimplifying things, but those creative pursuits, there's always
Absolutely.
that thing that you did also.
Yeah.
That was part
it
of
was
it?
paid the bills kind of thing when the gigs weren't coming or whatever. So and still doing something that you love. So
Yeah. And the teaching thing, some people aren't cut out to teach, coach, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Did you know you kind of enjoyed it right away or that you were interested in it? Or were you getting feedback that was kind of telling you like, oh, this is an interesting thing?
I think that was one of the first teaching jobs I had actually was when I graduated music school, and they were like, we have an adult evening class. Do you want to come and teach it? I was like, sure. Terrified.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Who am I to teach like at the school where I just was learning? Like this is ridiculous.
Were you talented though?
That's
like
how does someone answer a question like that?
You say fuck
talented
yeah.
or what? I'm a useless cook.
This is an ego, and you don't have to be humble. But like, were you a talented singer?
Yeah.
Like you were different.
Yeah.
And had a personality to go with it that teachers and people were going to put you in places and knew that you were going to kind of do a thing.
I think so.
Yeah. I need to know who I'm sitting across from, because if somebody listens to this and somebody says like, you have no idea what this person has done, which I don't.
Right.
Sometimes it's important for me to get some context on
For sure.
who you are.
Yeah. No, I know I'm incredibly passionate about what I do, and I know I get results very quickly now. But then it's been 20 years of being like, I hear where your voice is. I know where I can get your voice, and I know exactly how to go from A to Z in a very short time.
Yeah.
Taken a long time to learn that, and it's a confidence thing as well. It's a huge amount of confidence, and I'm still learning. Like I'm headed to go train with my coach next week, and it's like, she works with everyone. But I'm like always like learning and seeking that validation, which I think is a blessing and a curse.
Yep.
Because I think it holds me back a bit. But yeah, no, I got into it and then came over here and went straight into radio.
And so you come over here, meet some dude, doesn't work, whatever. But when you get here, what were you thinking? I need to get as far away from this ex as humanly possible. like
Don't get me wrong. All except one ex are lovely people. But no, I came over and I loved everything about Calgary. I obsessed with the city and was like obviously blindly in love at the time with this guy, and his dad was in radio. His dad was a bit of a like established kind of radio guy, and he was like, with your accent, why don't you go see if you can get a job in radio? And I was like, well, I can't work. I haven't got my visa yet. So radio loved that because it's free labor and an accent and everything. So I went into one station and I'd made a fake demo reel. Like I literally wrote a bunch of commercials and put the music behind it.
Ad reads and then, yeah.
And told them that they were like, oh, these are legit companies that I work with back in the UK. And they're like, great, we'll hire you, but we can't pay you. So this is great for everyone. And then the next day I was on the air.
What year was that?
That would have been, I'd have been 23, 24.
And when did you move here? What year was it? 20?
Oh my gosh.
It's all a blur.
It's all a blur. I've been living here longer than I lived in England.
Amazing.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Did you start gigging when you showed up, or was it like straight to radio?
Straight to radio. And it was weird. It was almost like my confidence went away because suddenly everyone was like, she's a singer. And I was like, that's a lot of pressure. And for some reason, I didn't really... I was in a cover band for a little bit. But again, it just wasn't... Being the front person's not my passion.
Can you pick up on those signals from some people? The ones you were feeling, like...
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Obviously, you like operate at a high level, but there's still this reason to like defer to this like, not me.
Yeah.
What is that? And you can see it in others?
I can see it in others. There's actually really lovely artist I've been working with. She had a release party yesterday, and so I'm like calling her out totally. But she's like how I was on stage, like just not like the music's there, the talent's there, everything's there, but it's not like I'm fucking here.
Yeah.
Like go Alanis on that stage. Like if you're there, do it. People are going to judge you whether they like you, whether they don't like you. Worst case, they are neutral. Like that is the worst possible thing, right?
Black.
Like she's beige. Like no, that's the worst. I'm like, just give it your all. So like when I see her, I see me in there, and I'm like way harder on her than any of my other clients because I'm like, don't fuck up this opportunity. Like this is your opportunity to win the people. Like get them falling in love with you, loving what you do, or let them hate you, but let them decide.
Yep.
Don't just be up there halfway.
What is that? Is that just all like your inner voice?
I think a lot of that. I'm always trying to figure that out. I'm literally starting a course in neuroscience and the voice and how that intersects, and also trauma and the voice and how all of that impacts it. Because like I said right at the beginning, the whole tissue thing, it's like, I'm like, it'll be 4 lessons time when I'm going to hear about X, Y, and Z that happened in their childhood or something like that. And again, that's why I'm always like upping my education, because there's times when in those one-on-one situations and stuff comes up, people start telling you the things, and it's like, okay, I can give you some phone numbers. I can get past you on, but I'm not that person right now, but I can help you sing the living crap out of those emotions.
Did you know that get into it, that there was going to be like a part like psychologist piece to all this?
Not really. Looking back, I know that I had experienced that in my training further up and been like, wow, I'm sharing all my daddy issues and getting all this stuff out and crying about things. And that was supposed to be a singing lesson. Like, that's weird. But it's just so common. It's just with sort of like the high level voice coaching is when you're tapping into that voice. It's the purest in my, like, that is the person.
Yeah.
There's nothing to cover that shit up.
Yeah. Just coming out.
Yeah.
So the radio gig.
Yeah.
So like afternoon show, what was this thing? Like what'd you do?
So they started off having me out and about doing all the little cut-ins and things, like calling in from random places, promo kind of stuff. Then I ended up doing overnights. It was, at the time, it was like a smooth jazz station. So it was perfect with my British accent. And I pronounced Bruce Cockburn so many times before anyone told me, no, that's not how you say it, which was quite embarrassing. Things you learn. But yeah, then I went from the on-air, and it's interesting, kind of similar to the singing thing. I was like, you know what? I don't like being front and center here. I prefer being more in like organizing the things and help. So I ended up, I was in radio for about 7 years.
Wow.
Ended up promotions director, doing all the fun stuff.
Behind the scenes things?
Yeah. Yeah.
Did music, were you still doing it? Were you playing? Were you singing? Were you anything? Or was it just kind of...
Not really, no. Just
like shut it down?
Yeah. Took a big break.
And like consciously shut it down, or just like you're just in this work environment they didn't present itself to do the thing?
Yeah, no, we had the Amp Radio Glee Club. And that was kind of like a thing when the Glee TV show came out. We were like, I was like, please let me do a Glee Club. And we did. And it was kind of wild because some of the people who auditioned way back then, that we're talking 15, 16 years ago, are now musicians you know from in and around Calgary and stuff, who are kick-ass singers and stuff. So yeah, it was like, I have an eye for this.
So after the radio gig, where does it start taking you?
I went from one station that I absolutely loved, but I was like, got antsy and was like, need a change. Went to another station, hated it. Was there for a year. I got let go, which was the best thing ever because,
You can say it now. At the time, what were you thinking?
At the time, it was wild. I literally had packed up my office, was ready to quit, had my notebook about starting my performing arts program for kids in Calgary. I was like, I'm going to freaking do it. But I don't have the money to do it. Can't afford to quit my job, got a mortgage, got a real life. And then literally like 2 days later, after like packing up my stuff, I'm going to quit, had enough. They called me out. They're like, yeah, we're letting go of your position or whatever. We'll come help you. Because in radio is a weird one. They're like, they'll walk you out. There's no time for goodbyes and all that stuff. So they're like, I'll help you pack up your office. I was like, awesome. They're like, what? I was like, I'm good to go. And they were like, here's your paycheck. And I was like, sweet. Let's start a business.
That was it?
Yeah.
Which is amazing. How long were you like thinking about the idea of starting your own thing? Like, was it just when you got... Do you think it was starting, the seed was planted at the previous job when you were kind of getting bored, wanted to change, or felt complacent? Like,
probably. There was some, before radio got serious too, actually, now I'm thinking about it, I was teaching some kids like performing arts programs and stuff in the city. And it's funny, actually, I was at the Country Music Alberta Awards, and one of the other girls who's on the board with me there, she was like, there's two things that I don't think you remember. I'm like, what? She's like, first off, you taught me when I was the mother duck in the production back in like way forever. I'm like, what? And then she's like, and secondly, I shadowed you for a whole day at the radio station and you taught me all about that. And I was like, I'm the worst human ever. I just completely didn't remember. But no, so I was dabbling in like part-time to supplement the radio income with like teaching kids and stuff like that. So then I was like, you know what? I know how to do that. I'll do that. And then, then it just sort of turned into something else.
It's not like a quick switch, right? Like where you are today is not because of this like singular moment in time. There's like all these little pieces along the way that then led to the moment of that getting fired. Let go, whatever word it is. And then it's time to do it. But your decision to actually start your thing when you got let go, was it like black and white to you? Like that now is the time, or did you hesitate and start looking for another job?
There was, so I did get I was like, I'm going to get a part-time job. It was winter was coming. And so I had to prepare. I got a job at Winsport, actually. I was like, okay, I'll do a part-time job, like literally in the store at Winsport. And then someone at radio was managing in the marketing department. They're like, no, come work for the marketing department. I did that for, I think, like 6 months. Then my mom passed away. And then I think even there was almost like a big lift in responsibility. It was like, okay, now I'm a little bit of freedom to go just take a bit of a risk. I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to just quit the job. I'm going to go follow what I'm supposed to be doing.
I love hearing it because it's kind of similar to my path.
Okay.
Thinking about my own thing over a few years, had bills and mortgages and things. So to start your own thing is like, am I really an entrepreneur? Or am I just have like ideas and am I just like cranky with, corporate?
Right.
and you get fired.
Yeah.
Then you have a little bit of money.
Yeah.
And that's the pivot moment where like it gets going.
Absolutely. It sucks that you have to rely on money to be able to sit back and be like, I can follow my passion of who I am.
Yeah.
So
when you started, what did it look like? Did you have a firm idea of what you were going to build?
I did. I actually enrolled with, there was an entrepreneur program, self-employment program through MNP. And they actually paid you to attend it if you were unemployed. So I was like, sweet. And so I learned all of the ins and outs of business. And actually one of the women running it was like, this isn't going anywhere. She's a singing teacher. Like, how's that viable, like, business? But it was great. I learned all the things about running a business for 10 weeks. Then while I was doing that, I was like, okay, advertising on Kijiji or whatever. I rented a room in a church. I had kids come in for half-hour lessons. And by the end of a few weeks, the one night in the church wasn't enough. I had to book more space. And then by the time I finished the 10-week course, I was like, I actually need a full-time space to fit in all these clients. And it's actually looking like a viable thing. And from there, it went... Like, I had the luxury of being like, do I want to teach kids?
Yep.
Do I want to... And started working with other clients, with older people, musicians, people who are actually doing it. And then it's just sort of evolved. Having the podcast was huge because then I connected with other people. We're talking about all the stuff that I do, all the stuff that they do. And then it was like, hey, actually, I'm looking for a voice coach. Or, hey, would you consider coming on tour with me? Or, like, it's just sort of... Really, that was where things started getting serious.
Let's get into the podcast.
Oh, my word.
So, like, which is, and I'll give you context on me just to, like, set the table. When I started my business, I knew I needed to create a brand.
Yep.
And I needed a voice in the ecosystem, which is, like, social.
Yeah.
I knew that video was the thing that I was bad at, holding a selfie thing and, like, talking.
Okay.
I listened to this guy religiously for a long time, Gary Vaynerchuk.
Yep. Gary
V says, create a long form piece of content, chop it up into like little pieces, post them on social, build a brand.
Okay.
That's why I started my podcast.
Okay.
Now it's turned into this wild community thing.
You have a beast.
It's crazy. Your podcast. So I love how you said it kind of, unlocked a bunch of things, but like, teaching kids in a church, get a bigger room, so you're making steps, the podcast. Why?
Yeah.
And what's happened?
Why? I think it kicked off just before the pandemic or maybe during.
Yep.
So it may have just come out of pure boredom.
Yeah, we're all in our houses.
And like, this sounds fun. This is a good way to communicate with people. And
it's audio, which is like...
Totally. So I was like, oh, I know how to edit audio clips from radio. And this is also like, I know how to do interviews from radio. I knew, so a lot of stuff from radio was really, really helpful with the podcast.
And you understand wires, mics, equipment, recording. So you had all these weird skills.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Non-transferable, bizarre skills.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I started it.
Yep.
And then reached out to a few people that I knew actually probably from radio. And then it just sort of went from there because I was like, I've had X, Y, and Z guest on, and so other people are now interested.
Did you get some? Listen, you and I could go back and forth on like big names, and I'm fine to tell you.
Right. So not like massively huge, like big names from the voice coaching industry.
So big names.
Yeah, like Ron Anderson, he was amazing. He's passed away now, which is so sad. But him and his associate came on, and Ron Anderson was like the Weekend, Alicia Keys, like all of the people. So I was terrified, and he was like my third guest. Ron and Pipe were like my third guests, and I was just like, I'm not ready for this. And then Lindsay L was one of my initial like reach out from the Calgary perspective. She was like, sure, I'll come support you, which was really cool of her. And then just more of the sort of local artists supported it, and it's grown and grown and grown. And now I love it. Love it.
And what has it unlocked around your business? Is it like driving revenue? Is it building community? Like what things is it doing for you? And the reason I'm on you right now is because I'm going to clip this.
Yeah.
And all the people out there that are like, why do I need a podcast? Everyone says I need a podcast. Or like, everyone's got one. Is there enough room for me? Like all the questions around podcasting, I want you to answer it. So
okay. So there's been no direct revenue because honestly, I haven't put the work in for ads or sponsorship.
Sure. That direct, okay.
Yeah.
But
there's been a lot of revenue when it comes to things like people signing up for lessons. Like I now have clients from across the world as opposed to just in Calgary. My virtual schedule is slammed.
Yep.
Like, I'm like, hi, just log on to Zoom. Like, hi, where are you from? I'm from Arkansas. And it's like, what the heck? Like, oh, I'm from Australia. I'm from, like, it's like, what? Like, you're listening to my stuff on a podcast and now you're here paying me for my time. This is,
It's funny you say that because we'll geek out a little bit. Tim and I have been talking about this idea of this monetization matrix.
Right.
People think that the only way to make money on a show is to read ads.
Yeah.
And so when you start, you're like, I've never actually generated revenue, but OPS, my business where I really make money is actually, it's working.
Absolutely.
And that's the same thing for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I make zero money.
Yeah.
You know, maybe it'll change
Totally.
and I'll have an advertiser, but I make money because it drives it to my marketing business.
Totally.
So
that's the way to do it. That's the way to look at it, I think, because those are the people that you want to connect with. Those are who you're talking to.
Yeah.
Like, why? It's the best way to do it. And I never really thought about that. I'm like, oh, I should be reading it. And you listen to other big podcasts and you're like, I don't want to be selling toothbrushes for dogs in between doing a singing conversation.
This week's brought to you by.
Yeah, like try this Vitamix protein shake.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I did do the whole like Spotify ads thing and was doing that a little bit. And I'm like, honestly, I'm for $20 a month to piss off my listeners. No. Like, no.
It's not required.
Yeah. Yeah.
How long have you been doing it? What episode are you on?
152.
Whoa.
We're catching up.
You're like deep into it.
Yeah.
And are you consistent weekly or what's your?
I try to be.
Yep.
It's we were talking about this before. My production is literally me. When I get an idea, I just hit record and I'm like, boom, let's go. Unless it's obviously a scheduled interview. But even with interviews, I'm just like very rarely using the video and stuff. But a lot of it is more just vocal technique stuff.
Yep.
Well, it's 50-50. It's interviews with coaches or artists talking about their experience and then me teaching you how to sing.
What's interesting is some people look, when you lead with like providing value, so you coaching techniques, like some people think that's their secret sauce and that's the thing they make money on.
Yeah.
I think what you've figured out is, there's how many characters like you doing the same thing.
Right.
So if you don't put value into the ecosystem, like nothing's going to happen.
Totally.
So like however you teach, whatever thing you say that's technical, I'm sure I could Google it and find 7 other people saying the same thing. So it's not like you're giving away the secret, but people can get a read on you, right?
Yeah,
they get a read on your energy, they can hear your voice, they can sense it. And then if they want to do business with you.
That's exactly it. It's like, again, coming back to like the box of tissues, singing is such a vulnerable thing. A lot of people are like, oh, I listen to your podcast all the time. I really feel like I connect with you and all this stuff. Some people probably listen to my podcast and like, shut up, on to the next. Like, again, don't be beige. I'd rather people have an opinion than are just like, oh, so yeah, that's, and it's great because it's the clients are pre-filtered.
That's it.
They know,
get you.
Yeah, they're coming in a door and we've already met and they know what to expect.
Yeah.
It's not a complete curveball. It's like, oh, it's awesome.
Yeah, they might know your lingo.
Yeah.
And
they know the very basic foundation of what and how I teach. So we're not wasting time either. We're not like, they know the scales and the patterns that I use because they've been practicing them for 4 months, 6 months, 2 years before they even reach out.
Yeah, they might be quietly like using your knowledge on their own, and then reach a point, and we all do. We can only Google so many things.
Yep.
And we can be dangerous of how much we know and how good we get.
Yeah.
But if you're serious, you got to do the next step, which is to reach out.
Yeah.
I love how you've it makes so much sense. So without this show, you're in a different spot.
Totally. Yeah. Without the podcast, I'm still hustling on Kijiji, trying to reach out to people in Calgary, and like I would have less flexibility because everything is on. Well, not everything. Like I'm in person in Calgary. I have my studio in Calgary, but the majority is online. Book things when I want, can travel when I want. I can teach when I'm traveling. Yeah.
Oh, it's so crazy. And I didn't I knew you had a show, barely.
Yeah.
I had no idea that. Well, I love hearing your perspective, because I
Right.
think we're producing a couple shows for people now.
Right.
You got to look at it with this like long through a long lens, right?
Yeah.
I think, like you said earlier, the people that do something out of ego,
Yeah.
they want the result. They want this. They want to be propped up on this pedestal. They need to make this specific amount of money.
Yeah.
Those shows never last.
No, you've got to do it because you love it, and you love talking to the people you talk to, and you love sharing the knowledge with the people who are listening. And I have a lot of people, because again, during the pandemic, I started helping people with their own podcasts. Like,
say it. I don't know why you're holding back. Like,
a lot of female entrepreneurs wanted to launch their coaching business was where it's like, okay, this is a whole other rant. It's like, I'm a business coach, but I don't have a business. My coaching business is on coaching. It's like, nah. Anyway, that's a whole other rant.
Yep.
But there were a lot of podcasts for coaches that came out during the pandemic. And I mean, I can't knock them because they helped pay the bills while I was helping them set up their podcast. But did they go beyond episode 5 or 6? No. Because, again, the wrong attitude. So, and then when people do ask me about a podcast, I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Well, I want to talk about this, this, and this. Like, do a couple of YouTube videos. You don't need to create a whole podcast for it. If you're not going to commit to it, please don't do it. It's a waste of your time, and it's a waste of your listeners' time.
Yeah.
Now I'm getting feisty. Honestly, hand on heart, when I hit record on episode 1, I didn't think anyone would listen.
Yeah.
And I didn't think anyone would care. And here we are, still going, and people seem to like it.
Yeah, and it's like, it's doing exactly what you need, right? It's like this biz dev tool that's generating inbound traffic.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. No, it's great. I love it. It's fun for me. It actually gives me accountability. Like, I'm like, if I haven't done an episode and I don't have an interview teed up, it's a great way for me to communicate with people on social. I'm like, what do you want to hear? What do you want me to do the next episode on? What techniques do you need? How can I help you? That'll happen immediately. Or people will write in from the podcast and be like, can you talk about this? Can you talk about that? Brilliant resource for new clients. They come in and I'm like, okay, go listen to episode 83, 82, 74. That's your homework. And whether you come back or just listen to those is up to you. But that's what you need. And it's all there.
Crazy.
So it's invaluable to me.
I can see you light up when you're like talking about it. It's almost like that that like secret, like that secret sauce or that thing, you're just like, I got the answer.
Yeah, totally.
And here it is.
Yeah, and I never thought it would be that. Like you said, I thought, I'll get sponsors and I'll rake in the cash. And it's like, no, and you sit back and you look at the new clients that have come in. That's running my business.
Yeah.
It's my marketing machine.
I feel the same way, just because it's just such an organic way for people to get to know you.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to put a phone in front of you and be like, my name is, and I teach, and you can sign up for my 2-day. Like, it's hard to do that. Some people are really good at it, and that's a skill.
Yeah.
This kind of like organic conversation, putting it out in the ethos it just works.
Yeah.
Where you are today, could you have, when you came to Calgary, could you have pictured yourself in this spot? Or did you have a different idea of what life would be like in Calgary?
It's kind of wild. And again, back to my brilliant therapist. She's phenomenal if anyone wants a great therapist. I have to take time to sit and look around and be like, holy shit, I'm where I wanted to be. It's wild. Like the first guy, when I was in Calgary, we were at Stampede. Actually, it was at Stampede breakfast. I called my mom and said, don't go to the airport. She's like, aren't you supposed to be on the plane? I'm like, yeah, don't go to the airport. I'm staying in Calgary.
Crazy.
But it was at Stampede watching the young Canadians. I was like, I can do that. Like, not me perform and dance around, but I can put together productions like that. I can teach kids like that. Yeah. And here we are.
Does it all make sense right now? And the reason that question is like, as a creative person, you know, like it's kind of, there's no straight path. There's no blueprint for all this, right? Like, right.
Yeah. I feel like I'm definitely on the right path. I'm surrounded by the right people. I want to be surrounded by more of the right people.
I know, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, give me more of this.
Yeah.
Where I'm at right now,
Yeah.
more of this. Like, yeah.
When you build something very organic, it's tough because there's no lever you can pull to get more of this, right?
Yeah.
It's just like more work of what you're doing, and then
I guess having faith.
yeah. But like it's very vague, right? It's very gray.
It is. But I think maybe, I don't know, maybe brain science, maybe like surgeons, lawyers, all of that kind of stuff. Maybe it's just as vague for them. Maybe the better lawyer gets the job all the time, or the better lawyer gets the different clients and does the dream court cases. I don't know what that looks like. It's always been interesting to me that like, I feel for anyone stepping into the music industry, because it's not, you don't get your certificate and here you go, congratulations, there's your life planned.
Yeah.
Whereas maybe it is like that for a lawyer, but no fun.
Agreed. I think what's interesting, some of the people that have been on those paths for a long time, like lawyer, doctor, like very traditional, I think they deal with something different. And I think it's like this, maybe it's the creative itch.
Right.
That they've, you know, eventually they get to a spot like, man, something's missing.
Yes.
Whereas we err on the other side. We have this like creativity just like hammering through us.
Yeah.
And sometimes we want like, I just want more of this.
Yeah.
Which equals like stability. And so anyways, we have our own, we all wrestle with it.
It's a balance. It really is. And just, I think also is why I'm chasing this kind of neuroscience thing and the trauma thing and just like thrilled to like, and I know ADHD is such a loose thing that's thrown around all the time now, but it's like 46 years now makes sense. It's like, this is how I operate, and it's going to be so much easier for me now.
Yeah.
Because I always thought it was just like entrepreneur brain and just being creative. It's like, if I'd have a day off, I'd be like, okay, there's a whole new course coming out. There's a whole new opportunity for singers. I've created a retreat. I've done this thing. And it's like, just sit still, enjoy the fact that you've achieved what you've achieved, and let it just keep going. You don't have to. Yeah.
That's interesting to say that, because I do think to sit back and enjoy might not be the time, right? I think that there's like this constant energy, like pushing forward is required as your own boss.
Yes.
You're building your own thing,
Totally.
ADHD or whatever. I do think it's just the energy to like push forward.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it different.
Yeah.
So I do think like, I think we just deal with something different. Like we're all dealing with our own little nuances.
Totally. Do you celebrate your successes?
No,
Do you like? Yeah.
never.
Right.
Because I don't want that to be the bar.
Okay.
I think if I'm like saying it, I don't think, and maybe I should, you know, like we have to look at these successes and be like, oh, that's,
Yeah. I think like, well, you inspired me too when you were posting about 150th episode and it's like, that's an achievement. And I was like, it is like, oh, it is. Like, one was like scary. And I'm like, okay, yeah, they're right. It is an achievement. And I was like, I think it's really important to think about that, especially in the creative industry, because we're like that. And again, with the singers that I work with and working on like the therapy side and the trauma and all that stuff, it's like some of the platinum selling world touring artists are just like, the pressure now. Like I have a song at #1. Everyone is talking to me about what's happening next. It's like, can we not just, hey, it's right here like this? Like, can we not spend a minute on that? And it's just, it's a wild industry. It's a wild world with how fast everything moves for everyone.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm exploring, taking like a couple hours a week to just be like, I'm doing it. I'm doing it.
It's interesting to say that, because I do think it's got to be like a very intentional time set aside to sit with it, right?
Yeah.
Like actually, because some days when it's not working, however many of those happen in a month, you know, you're just like, fuck, like what it,
then the hamster gets on the wheel and throwing stuff until you feel like you've earned a moment. Yeah.
It's interesting you said it, like the work you're about to do like the neurology and it seems like a natural progression.
Yeah.
And something that actually adds value to how you operate.
Yeah, totally. Like, it's just come up so much, all of those themes and topics, just to be able to support people further and give them the why, as opposed to be like, this happens all the time and my theory is this, but to actually say, this is the science and this is why you're experiencing this and this is how I can support you. And that's because when it does happen, the voice that comes out after that break, can't buy enough hours of singing lessons to make that happen.
Yeah. So now you might be a little more dangerous because you could get them there
safely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It also, as you're talking about that, it gives you more ammo for your podcast.
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden you have a new branch of people that come in.
Totally.
Because then you can offer new knowledge and share value into the system.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not just how to do the thing, but like
what the thing is.
Yeah.
I love talking with people who are like all about that. Like, I've had some brilliant guests on talking about things like imposter syndrome, performance anxiety, all of that, and how and why that happens. And once you understand it, it's like, you can rock the living daylights off a stage. It's like, let's go.
And as you're like been describing this, like just the unlock of like your brain to actually, it can hold you back, right? I guess in anything too, whether it's business or whether it's performing, it's like
totally,
there's a barrier.
100%. And that's very clear when I'm working with people. And it's interesting that sometimes I can see what it is. I'll be able to tell them, your mother was always telling you to be quiet, or a teacher in school said, the things teachers have said to kids in school about their singing, it's like, come on, they're like lip sync, could just pretend you're singing, whatever. I'm like, I've had people who come to me in their like 60s who would love singing. They love singing when they come to the lesson. It's like, I've always wanted to do this. I'm like, how many years did you not do this because a teacher told you when you were 7? Like, does anyone tell a kid that they can't, like, drive a race car?
Yeah.
No, they have to learn to drive a race car. They have to be trained how to get behind the wheel and drive the car. Singers have to be trained how to be great singers. Like, just because a kid isn't doing it great at the beginning doesn't mean they can't progress to any. It's a learned skill when you get to a certain level. Like, it's a fun hobby or a fun thing, and everyone should do it if they love it. But it can be trained and taught and perfected.
And even if you're not like a touring musician pro that makes all the money, but if you get to gig 3 times a year, you know, and that fills you up and you can like do something, you can have a mini concert in your backyard or whatever. Like, it just,
Back to Rob and Jax, what they're doing. Like, that brings them so much joy. That brings so much joy to the people who are doing it with them. Like, the opportunities, like, get out and play. Get out and sing. Like, everyone's going to have an opinion. They're going to love you. They're going to hate you. It's good, but don't be beige.
Would you ever get back on stage? Like, would you ever go gig or do anything? Like, does it cross your mind or opportunity show up and you just say no all the time? Or
I do sometimes. I do the occasional, like, open mic or do performance here or there. But it's... I'm also obviously a bit of a perfectionist when it comes to that.
So if you're not like...
There's some brilliant musicians in the city, obviously. I'm very fortunate to work with a few of them when we do jam. We have the most random band that, like, literally my husband will pick out songs and be like, that's a Husky Tower song that is just, like, so out there, like, but they're crazy good musicians, so it's super fun to work with them because it's like one rehearsal, the most ridiculous set list. We're talking, we'll go from like En Vogue to John Mayer, and then it'll be Hall & Oates, and then it's just like, what's fun for us nerds to play. So that's fun. When you take it seriously but not too seriously. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Like, you still want to, if you're going to put in the effort, you still want to be good at it. But it's got to be in the right situation where it's...
Bit of a luxury, I guess. I'm not... Nothing to prove. Like, I'm not... This isn't... My career is not hinging on this gig. This is like, you're a brilliant guitarist, you're a brilliant piano player. Like, let's go play some cool tunes.
Have fun.
Yeah.
It could be dangerous, though, too, because you could actually make that little band and start popping it up wherever and like...
But that's just it. We say that every time. We're like, we should do this more often. See you in 2 years.
But there's... I'm sure everyone's got a business or schedules or whatever.
Totally.
This has been really cool.
Yeah, thank you. It's been really cool for me too.
It's just like we started this show, just like how it all happens.
Yeah.
It's just cool to hear the stories of, a random interaction.
Totally.
We didn't meet, but like sitting in a room, just listening to you watch you do your thing. And then,
yeah, that's cool that you were there.
Yeah. So thanks, Tim, for making this happen.
Yeah, thank you, Tim.
He didn't really make it. Well, he did, but he didn't do like
Yes.
the intro. I end the show with one question.
Yes.
When I say Calgary, where's your head go?
Where does my head go? It goes to, literally speaking, the hill coming down by Stampede Park, where you can see the grandstand and everything.
Like Cemetery Hill?
Yeah. That's a bit morbid, but that's where my head goes to. And purely because I think every time I've driven over that hill, I look at the span of the city, and it always makes me think about the different types of people that are there, the opportunity that's there. And it always inspired me to be like, how can I bring my best to that? It's kind of like coming over and you see Oz. Mm-hmm. It's what can my impact be in that space with all of the people that are in there? So that's where my head goes when I think of Calgary.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's cool after recording these shows is, I've been connected to you for a while, but now I can really watch and have more context in what you're doing, which is, I really enjoy that. And hopefully when these like magical bands that you're messing around with,
totally ridiculous.
The one time where you actually like pop it up and do something. Yeah. Yes. Okay.
Now I'm thinking, we should do one. Summer's coming, you never know.
And that's so it'll be fun for me to show up and watch this.
Yeah, totally.
Thanks again.
Thank you so much.